you
And I
know.
think a lot of single mothers hurt themselves, and they kind of put themselves in a depression stage, especially when they're pregnant, and then they know that the father is not going to really be around. And when I had my last one, I knew that like it was over. So what I did was I went to therapy. I had a male therapist and I had a female therapist, and they were so awesome that after I had my last one, it was like I didn't even go through depression. Like I didn't go through. I just like it was just so amazing. I would recommend that to anyone because we can say don't do it, but we know that things like that is going to.
You know what's crazy? The conversation I know that my husband and I have with both of our kids, we have a daughter, and yeah, we have a daughter and a son. And I was going to say those conversations that we had about around sex and, things like that, their conversations, believe it or not, were exactly the same in terms of if you get pregnant or if you get someone's pregnant, your life is going to change
Yes.
because there was not going to be any way that it was going to be acceptable in my home for my son to not share in the responsibility of raising and taking care of a child that he fathered. And then the same thing with my daughter. There was going to be no way that you think that you having a child is going to now end up becoming me and your dad's responsibility. Like your life is going to change. And so our conversations in regards to what Shan, what you were saying about what can be the solution is the conversations that you're having with your children, ahead of time. So we talked about sex from when they were younger. So it was never an uncomfortable conversation. Like we didn't wait till they got 13, 14, and then started the conversation. It was ongoing. And the big push was this is what we prefer. Like, wait until you get married, those kind of things. But we were like, realistically, we know that may not happen based on the stats. More than likely, it's not going to happen, but this is what you need to do. So, I mean, protection, protection, protection. You know, taking my daughter to the gynecologist. I mean, I put her on birth control before she even started having sex. And she's like, I don't want to, because it was a stigma in her mind about that. But I'm like, no, because I know what can happen. Like right now, yes, you're not having sex, but my thing is, I want you to get in the habit of making sure that you prevent that because you get caught up in your emotions and it can happen just like that. Son, buying condoms, keep them with you at all times. You need to re-up. Like it wasn't an uncomfortable conversation. Neither one of them had any children. My son is married right now. My daughter's in a relationship. And when I say she's on point with that birth control, she don't play with it. She does not play with it. And I think that's the solution. A lot of times, as parents, we don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations with our children. And I think that's to their detriment that we don't.
So
Um,
I would,
oh, go
oh,
ahead. No, you can go ahead.
okay, thank you. So I would say, um, in general, um, both to young women and older women alike, if you can't trust them with your heart, don't trust them with your body.
Right.
That's one.
That's facts.
Because when we go having babies, uh, we take for granted that like you risk your own life. Like we're putting our lives at risk to carry forth life. And yeah, women are doing it every day, but like it's an actual thing, right? So um just be mindful who you're risking your life for, essentially, because you're risking your life when you just trust them to be having raw sex with them anyway. But then you're risking your life again by giving birth to another baby or giving birth to a baby, and bringing a baby into the world. And then you're risking your mental health and your quality of life. and all those things. So, um, yeah. So just in a nutshell, if you can't trust them with your heart, don't trust them with your womb. The other thing I would say that would be like a solution is to just, yeah, like just focus on like yourself until you find your husband. Like, don't plan for if it, like I don't know. This whole thing is so ass backwards. I see some of these women talking about having a baby just to have a baby and saying you don't need the man. The man is definitely needed.
I thought I was on mute.
Um,
Yes, they do. We need a man.
the man is needed in the household. Like the man is needed to be a part of the child's life. So like just don't do it. If you're not just don't do it. Like just don't do it. Like you see these days kids see so many examples of what it's like because I feel like there are almost way more broken homes and single parent households than there are two parent households or families that are bringing children into the world within wedlock. Like, you
And I
know,
think a lot of single mothers hurt themselves, and they kind of put themselves in a depression stage, especially when they're pregnant, and then they know that the father is not going to really be around. And when I had my last one, I knew that like it was over. So what I did was I went to therapy. I had a male therapist and I had a female therapist, and they were so awesome that after I had my last one, it was like I didn't even go through depression. Like I didn't go through. I just like it was just so amazing. I would recommend that to anyone because we can say don't do it, but we know that things like that is going to happen. So it's like sometimes I wish that a lot of single mothers can talk about a solution about pushing through. When I left at home, that I was with this man, we had a house together, we had all these things, but wasn't married. I just wasn't happy, and I left with those kids, and I risked it all. Like I moved to a whole nother state. I was in this, and then most of those men, they tell us that we're not going to be anything. You're not going to be anything without me. You can't make it without me. And I just wish that mothers could be like, man, just like push through it. Don't worry about what another man gonna say. Because I promise you, my dad took in a woman that had 3 kids and she was pregnant with one and been taking care of her for 20 plus years, treat her like a queen. So I know it's possible to have a man to love you and that child just as much as the dad was supposed to have been loving that child.